So, hello and welcome. My name's Steve Nobel, and today I'm speaking with Darrius Meibodi on multidimensional approach to severe illness. Now, Darius graduated in 1994 from the University of Heidelberg Medical School in Germany. He moved to London, where he practiced oncology, cancer medicine for 20 years. And in 2002, he qualified as a light body integration practitioner with Ahlmeirah, Ariel, Hallaire, and Nicolas Ngan. And since developed his own to help individuals and groups raise their consciousness and undergo the ascension process. He left traditional medicine in 2015 in order to fully practice as a healer. He now lives in the south of France near beautiful Montpellier, and he travels frequently for his work to the UK and Mexico. And his website will be going out as a link with this podcast. So, hi Darius.
Hello Steve.
Let me ask you, you've gone through quite a transition from being a medical doctor working in cancer to a multidimensional healer. What was the transition like?
Oh, it started already when I was a student at the end of my studies. I became interested in some complementary medicine, and I was looking for some other aspects, how to address disease. I began meditating, and once I qualified as a doctor and started working, at the times it was still allowed that people work quite a lot. So I was very busy and didn't follow up on my spiritual evolution anymore. But at some point, almost 20 years ago, I was pushed by spirit to further my spiritual evolution, and I came across Nicolas Ngan, and through him I opened up to my multidimensional abilities.
Now, there's a world of difference, isn't there, between the multidimensional holistic approach to healing and the 3D approach to healing. The body's a machine that breaks down or eventually wears out. So could you say something about this different approach?
Yeah, I think maybe the question is to see what is the nature of disease. Why do we develop disease in the first place? And we can say we as humans were incarnated here in this third-dimensional reality in order to have experiences and to learn, and through this learning to evolve our consciousness, to raise our consciousness. And we do create our reality in order to have specific experiences so we can learn. And the disease is one aspect that we choose to manifest, whether consciously or mostly unconsciously, in order to have specific experiences and to evolve. So we can see a disease as a teacher, and it's not our enemy, right? So this is an important thing. And it's, from my experience also, when we address what is the learning experience of a disease, or often there are many learning experiences present in a disease. If this is all addressed and integrated, then there is you take basically the need for the disease to manifest out.
Well, I know, because we talked earlier, disease comes to wake us up. Can you talk about disease as a kind of an awakener?
Yeah, so often awakener is on the spiritual path. So if a life is comfortable, like married to children, cat, dog, a house, 3 holidays a year, and there's not a great incentive to change. In order for us to wake up from our current level of consciousness, we often need to have something to initiate that force us to wake up. Severe disease can be one of these aspects, that people feel I have to change something in my life. If I don't do anything, I'm going to go downhill. I may even die. Right? Other things could be that a partnership breaks down, or people are in war-torn countries. So something has to be there that really shakes people up.
Absolutely. I mean, I've met a number of people that have said their illness was the best thing that happened to them, particularly cancer, a few women who had breast cancer. Is this something you find that people actually feel really grateful further down the line? Yeah, it is. It's from my experience, it's very important that people are open to undergo healing and willing to change. When people, this is without that a healing cannot occur. If people are open, they can have results what you would just dream of in medicine. Obviously, you can never make any promises, but from my experiences, the results of people were really, really good. And people's life also changed. I saw that very often, that people became more empowered, more clear, feel more aligned in their whole existence, despite the disease they have or they had. Well, there's a big difference, isn't there, in going to a doctor and saying, give me the pills to fix me, than coming to see someone like yourself where the patient is responsible as much as you for their healing. If they're closed to healing or at some level resist it, then it won't happen.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, one aspect what I also do with clients, whether they have a major disease or not, it is to claim responsibility for their own lives. We are responsible for our lives, and we cannot give responsibility to others if we want to go and evolve. We have to change this program, that giving away our responsibility to others.
Yeah, it's a big shift for a lot of people, because especially if you're just brought up conventionally, you go along going, well, your job is to fix me, give me the pills, give me the surgery or whatever. It's a bit of a shift going, I am now responsible as much as the healer for my own awakening. I'm not sure even everyone who goes to see a healer is fully aware of that.
I try to, obviously these things happen with me as well. I came very much from a 3D background. But it's possible, but I think I try to explain people why certain things are happening, why I propose that we do these changes, and most people actually allow that to happen when I work with them.
Well, I must say, just before I go on, that I've had a session with Darius, and it was an amazing session. I learned so much and got so much out of the session. So I just want to throw that in there as we go on.
Thank you.
Well, I went on the NHS website and had a look at the top 5 killer health issues in the UK, and they come up with cancer, heart disease, stroke, lung disease and liver cancer. So these are the top 5. Now, you've worked in cancer, so let's have a look at cancer. What about the kind of more holistic, multidimensional approach to cancer? There are many different types of cancers, of course, all with probably slightly different causes. Can you say something about that?
Yeah, maybe just if in the conventional medicine, disease is addressed usually only on the physical level. But if you see we have emotional, mental, and spiritual level, and maybe even higher level of a disease, in a holistic, as many higher aspects should be addressed as well as the physical, right? So cancer, even though there may be similarities in certain types of cancer with other people with the same type of cancer, it's still a very individual thing. So you have to take a very good history of the person. And let's take as one example prostate cancer, right? Prostate cancer, what a lot of men suffer from, it requires that the cancer cells in prostate cancer require androgen, the male hormone, to multiply and to metastasize, to spread to other parts of the body. So if we can see, if you have you could say from another dimensional perspective that the male hormone represent male energy. So the male energy is perceived by the person with prostate cancer as aggressive, as destructive, as killing. So we would need to change these things. That is typically with people with prostate cancer what basically everyone has, right? But we also have to see other emotional things involved. Do we need to release stress or fear or anger of the person? Because all negative emotions can suppress the frequency and in this way the immune system, because we want to strengthen the immune system, right? Yeah, then it also from a mental level, we would address things, maybe a cancer potentially are diseases that can kill someone, even though someone has a desire to die, and then we have to investigate that. Or does someone feel unworthy to live, Certain things, or what often is that feminine energy is seen as something negative. It's also which has been inbred in our culture for thousands of years. So we have to address these things as well. Then we have to check out, is there anything going on in the ancestral lineage? Is family members, have they had the disease? Maybe the person that I'm dealing with, are they carrying the imprints from their ancestors, right?
Yeah. And these are things that can be cleared, aren't they? In a multidimensional healing session, you can clear those energies from ancestors.
And that is right. That's part of the thing as well. The work, the healing what I'm performing is a multidimensional healing. So it addresses not only a person directly I'm working with, it goes along the ancestral lineage as well. It goes to parallel existences. It goes to past lives and so on.
How much of a factor is past lives in these illnesses, would you say, serious illnesses?
How much of that? It's very individual. When I work, I can tell you, when I work with people, at times I get in the middle of the healing information, I get a picture of a past life, and I know that needs to be addressed. There's an imprint that needs to be cleared. That may happen maybe a quarter of the people when I'm working with that the past life pops up.
Let me ask you about the emotional dimension, because I imagine something like heart disease is connected very much to emotional energies, love, and heart energies. Is that true?
That's This is one perspective, and this is also in one way how I address the whole thing. We have negative emotions: fear, stress, sadness, anger, hysteria, guilt, and they often correspond to specific organ systems. Even in conventional medicine, we know that stress can go to the stomach and can cause gastritis or gastric ulcers. Heart disease can be a lack of love, a reflection of a lack of love, or a disconnect from love, basically.
Okay. What about lung? In Chinese medicine, that's usually grief, I think. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, sadness, grief. That is correct. Right. So if someone comes in with lung disease, one thing certainly we have to release sadness from the person, and another thing is that the lungs. It's not only bringing in oxygen for the body to function, but also life force. So another aspect is for people with lung disease is to connect them fully with the flow of life force.
And what about the liver, which is a seat of anger, I think, in Chinese medicine?
That's correct. Yeah. So you have to release anger as one of the things. Then on the physical, like a liver disease, obviously there are different reasons. This can be due to alcoholic disease.
Yeah.
It can be due to infection with hepatitis viruses. There are several ones. So that would need to be addressed. If someone is alcoholic, then you would check out why are they alcoholic in the first place. Right, and try to change that. If people have a viral disease, then I would do certain things in order to release the viruses and virus particles from the person. Also, reconnect them with the ability to heal themselves. Ultimately, the ability to heal ourselves lies within us. We have to reconnect with that and allow ourselves also to heal.
Would you say that ability to heal ourselves comes from a belief in it? Well, I'm not sure I believe in it, or is it something much more deeper?
I think it's you can go. It's quite deep. It's as humans, from my perspective, we are particles of the divine, of all that is, and as such, we carry a lot of potential within us. Right?
Yeah.
And so for us to recognize our origin, our true origin, and our true capacities, our abilities, is helpful in order to reconnect and heal.
Can I ask you the nature of like viruses and disease? Are some of these, would you call them conscious awareness, like intelligences that can be communicated with, for instance?
I think a lot of spiritual healers and teachers would say that everything has consciousness, whether it's a stone or whether it's a dolphin, a whale, or a human. Yeah. Or a star. So from that point of view, you can communicate with everything, right? And again, as I said before, a disease is not our enemy, or you can see it as an enemy. Obviously, this is a choice. But in order to heal, it's helpful to try to see the disease as a teacher. And you can try to communicate with the virus and ask the virus, what are you here to teach me?
Right. That's incredible, isn't it? That's a revolution for some people, I think, to hear just that one statement. Amazing. Well, Darius, let me ask you specifically about work, because you work, if you go on your website, I mean, I'm doing light body integration training, and I've done some divine healing. You have these tools that you work with. Can you say something about the tools and their effects on people, your clients?
It's if I just can say what's happening at the moment on the planet, and I think you have that addressed with other people. At the moment, our planet, the whole universe, is undergoing a massive shift of consciousness, or a dimensional shift, where we move from the third dimension to the fifth dimension, which is called ascension. A lot of things what are happening on the planet at the moment on a political, environmental level are a reflection of that. You know, you see the yellow vests in France, or other upheavals all over the world. You see the changes in the climate. These are reflections of the race of consciousness due to this ascension process. My work is ultimately there to help people facilitate to undergo from the third to the fifth dimension. So everything what we had for thousands or hundred thousands of years, we have been experiencing this third dimensional reality in order to evolve, to learn, to experience polarity, good versus evil, disease versus health, abundance versus scarcity. And my tool is to help people to make the decision to undergo the ascension process, release what holds them here, and then also to make it possible for the soul and for the body to exist in the higher dimensions where the frequency is much, much higher. Right. So this is the work I'm doing.
Great. So you do things such as you work with the body consciousness, and you work clearing astral devices, various other things, crystals in the body. Can you say something about the removal process, pulling out stuff from the body?
Okay, let's say I have a client, and there's a medical problem, coming back to that, and says he or she complains about some pain in their neck, and they may have been to a doctor, x-rays were done, nothing can be seen. So if I look at the person, I may see there is a implant or an entity attached to that.
Yeah.
And I have been, I have the ability, I've been granted the gift to see these things and to remove them, right? And then in this way, and physical symptoms can often disappear in an instant, or can slowly get back. It depends what type of agreement the soul of the person had,
Absolutely. Your pulling out can cause massive problems in the body, and these foreign devices. Can you just say something about an astral device, for example? What is an astral device?
Okay, so we choose to experience to have certain experiences here. For example, I choose to have pain in my leg that I cannot walk around, and I experience limitations. Okay.
Yeah.
So in order to have that happening, I can allow a device to be implanted in my body, like a high dimensional device, that affects me, that slows me down, that helps me to have this experience, right? Mm-hmm. So same as a disease can be our teacher, so this device can be also, or an implant or an entity, can be a teacher for us. It's not our enemy. But in the process, sometimes it may be necessary to really fully program the person again to choose now to be without any limitations, and then take the device or the implant out, and sometimes it can be, because it is now time to do that, it's just a simple removal process, and the problem is solved.
Can you say something about entities, the kind of different astral entities you come across? Because I'm sure some of these are linked to things such as addictions, which can cause illness, of course.
Yeah, entities, so the forms of consciousness, some people may see them as evil spirits. There are different ways to that. Ultimately, we all come from source. That can not only cause physical symptoms, but it can also influence the thought process of the person. Right?
Yeah.
And in this way, for example, some people take some recreational drugs in order to have a good time, to relax. And it can be that these entities stuck into the energetic fields and distort the perception of reality of the person. For example, that I see, everything is fine, I'm completely relaxed, but that there's discordance between the actual reality and what the person perceives as their reality, right? So in this way, an entity can influence a person's mental process very much, right?
Yeah.
And how do they look like? A good thing is if you have ever seen the Alien movie.
Yes.
Yeah. So at the very the larvae of the alien, some of these. Entities can look like an alien larvae, right? Some other entities look like jellyfish. Some look like extraterrestrial praying mantises, Oh, right. So they have very different forms. The universe is very creative in how they manifest and how they look like.
Yes. Would you say, I know it's slightly out of your field, but would you say a number of mental health problems could be caused by entities like this? You see people talking to themselves, you wonder, who are they talking to?
I think entities can play a role, but I think often where there's mental health problems, for example, if someone talks to people that are not in the room.
Yeah.
So what often is the case that people, or what can be the case, that people are open to see different dimensions. So they see things what for most people cannot perceive and think the person is crazy. Right, so it can be that that there is some entities involved, but it can be also that the person simply has access to other dimensions, and but it doesn't whatever bring into the equation what is our consensus reality, what does everyone, all humans agree upon, and what is only what I see because I can see in other dimensions.
Wonderful. Now, I guess if somebody wants to work with you, Darrius, they can just contact you through the website. Is that the best way?
Yeah, website, and I have my email address in there, so this is the best way to contact me.
Fantastic. Well, Darrius, it's a fascinating subject, and we could have talked for a long time, but thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you very much, Steve. I very much appreciate that.